Strat-O-Matic Excel Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Troll.
(1973 to 1976). Welcome back, baseball fans. 1973-76 Carryover League. Today, it's the American League Championship Series. The Orioles and the White Sox, the number 1 and number 2 teams in the American League. Baltimore had the number 1 seed. They really got hot just before the All-Star break. White Sox were actually right around 500 at the All-Star break and then caught fire in the postseason tournament and since. We'll just take you right into this, folks. No need to hesitate. Let's get right into what's going on. Game 1. The White Sox want Bart Johnson pitching Game 1 because they have Wilbur Wood available to pitch on 2 days rest. He can still get 3 starts in a 7-game series, even with Bart pitching Game 1. But Bart's been the most impressive pitcher, at least the Strat card looks like it, against Jim Palmer. In this one, leading off, Orta, singles, Bob Stinson, singles, and then Dick Allen, 3-run bomb Dick Allen to start the game. 3 batters, 3 runs. Dick Allen's had a very mediocre year. But if he catches fire, it's a brand new sport for the Chi-Towners. Bottom of the inning, Bobby Grich doubles scores on a Mark Belanger single. It's 3-1. Second inning after out, you get a Bucky Dent single, an Orta single, Stinson strikes out, and then Dick Allen, a 2-run single. Dick Allen, there we go. It's 4-1. Knocking around Jim Palmer. It stays that way into the 7th inning. After an out, Orta singles, Bob Stinson flies to center, and then Dick Allen 4 for 4, a 2-run homer. He's driven in all 6 runs, and the White Sox have a 6-1 lead over Baltimore. In the 8th inning, they are just completing this tagging of Jim Palmer with 4 more singles in the inning, and Palmer can't even finish the 8th inning. He has had enough. What a terrible day for Baltimore and Jim Palmer. 7 2/3, 15 hits off Jim Palmer, the 1975 Cy Young winner. 8 runs, no walks, 8 strikeouts. Maybe you should, don't throw him right down the middle, Jim. Get some walks in there or something, because the White Sox were keen on something today. And Bart Johnson, another complete game victory. We saw that in the a divisional series round. Does the same thing today. Complete game, 6 hits, 1 run, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts. The White Sox win Game 1 in Baltimore, and now they have home field in the series. Let's go to Game 2. Baltimore needs a Game 2 victory. You don't want to go down 0-2. That would be the death knell. This is a weird game. Very strange. Wilbur Wood, Mike Cuellar, battle lefties. First inning, the White Sox score the first again. A walk to Brian Downing, couple of ground outs, RBI single Bill Melton, 1-0. It is a 1-0 pitcher's duel in this one. Both offenses cold. Until the bottom of the 6th. After an out, Doug DeCinces hits a ground ball to Glenn Beckert, the better of the 2 White Sox second basemen. He kicks it for an error. After a ground out, runners on the corners, 2 outs. Earl Williams hits a ground ball to normally sure-handed Bucky Dent. He plays it into a single. He's a 2 shortstop. He's not a 1. He's a 2 shortstop. And Earl Williams gets a single, and that is an unearned run off of pretty good defense. Obviously a great shortstop at 2E16, and Becker's a 3E12, and that's a terrible break for the White Sox. The game is tied. Cuellar and Wood on a collision course for a complete game extra inning affair, or maybe not. Bottom of the 8th. Still 1-1. After an out, you have a DeCinces single, Kenny Singleton singles, and then with 2 men on, you have righty May, righty Williams, Blair, Robinson, Schroen, Belanger, Grich, and DeCinces, with 8 scheduled righties in this one. Wilbur Wood is pulled for Rich Gossage, who just destroys right-handed batters. Because the White Sox, if they can get 2 road wins, that's pretty much a lock to win to go to the World Series, you'd think. So, first batter, a fly ball to Bob Coluccio. All the White Sox defense is in by this point. Coluccio is very good defensively. He's a 2-E5 in left field. A 2-base fluke error on that play, and it's 2-1 Baltimore. They have a lead with second and third and 1 out. So now Earl Williams comes up, and almost in passing, I glance up to the top of the card and notice that Earl Williams is an A bunter? Earl Williams? I never would have thought that. So with second and third and the infield up and Dominic Gossage out there, you already have a 1-run lead. Let's try it. Let's try a squeeze play, see if it works. He rolls a 4. So for an A bunter, a 5 is a single. But because they had the infield up, he's a B. So a 4 is rolled, and it's a single for Earl Williams. And that gets another run in. We're not over yet, folks. We got runners on the corners, still with 1 out in a 3-1 game. And Paul Blair, he is an A bunter. And you're not going to tell me that Earl Weaver in the Baltimore dugout is going to do back-to-back squeeze plays. I mean, no team could fall for that, right? Paul Blair, the A bunter, rolls the exact same roll for a squeeze single. 2 singles on squeeze plays. A, I don't know how many times I ever do a squeeze. B, I don't know how many times I ever caught a single on it. Back-to-back squeeze singles on the confused White Sox, and the 1-1 game, 2-1, 3-1, it's a 4-1 game. Gossage gets the last 2 outs. And Mike Cuellar gets the complete game. 4-1 Baltimore victory. 9 innings, 7 hits, a run, 4 walks, and 2 strikeouts. Because of the errors in this game, no earned runs charged to the Chi Sox. And they have got really good defense to the White Sox. Just really bad luck. We've seen a lot of that this year for the White Sox. Bad luck. 1-1, series is tied. White Sox, though, have home field, going back to Comiskey for a Game 3. Oh, boy, folks. Game number 3. It's going to be Wayne Garland for Baltimore, Jim Cott for the White Sox. First inning, Bobby Grich singles after an out. Ken Singleton, 2-run homer. Then after a Lee May out, Earl Williams solo homer, and Baltimore's got a 3-0 road lead, trying to take back control of the series. Or not, because the White Sox in the bottom of the first, you get a George Orta single, Bob Stinson double, and another Dick Allen 3-run dinger, and it's 3-3. But they're not done in the first. Melton walks, Henderson singles, Lamar Johnson doubles, and Buddy Bradford a 2-run single. Nobody's out. He gets 6 runs. Inning ends with a double play, but it's still 6-3. But Baltimore, they would battle back. In the third, Grich walks, RBI single, Lee May gets 6-4. Then in the fourth inning, Robinson walks, a Schroen double, and then Bobby Grich, who is lighting it up this postseason, he almost single-handedly knocked the Oakland A's out of the dynasty. Bobby Grich with a 3-run homer, and the Orioles take a 7-6 lead. But these aren't your normal White Sox, folks. This is a super potent version of the Chicago White Sox, who stumbled around earlier this year. Well, they kind of figured their lineup out, folks. They've been rolling Dick Allen, Bill Melton, Ken Anderson, Lamar Johnson, Buddy Bradford in the 3 to 7 spots in this lineup. Doesn't matter who's on the mound. That's your 3 through 7 hitters for the last 2 months. They only flip out George Orta and Brian Downing against lefties and righties, and Tony Muser gets to play against righties. But that's it. You get a Dent single, George Orta, 2-run dinger, and they take an 8-7 lead. Yeah, and then they get a bases-loaded walk to Buddy Bradford, and it is a 9-7 lead. And Wayne Garland is gone after 4 innings. Jim Palmer and Wayne Garland have just been wasted by the White Sox, folks. It is a 9-7 game. Cott has struggled throughout, manages to get through 7 innings, 10 hits, 7 runs allowed. In the 6th inning, Baltimore went to Tippy Martinez in the 5th. In the 6th inning, Ken Anderson single. Lamar Johnson, 2-run dinger. It's an 11-7 game. Who is this team from Baltimore? They can't pitch. The Baltimore Orioles are just having the worst postseason pitching performance we've ever seen from them. And then in the 8th inning, the White Sox use Mike Garman, he of the 0.00 ERA in 21 in the 3rd innings. He gives up a hit. And then they let Stan Bonson pitch the 9th inning in a non-save situation, gives up a couple singles. An easy White Sox victory, 11-7. In complete control of the series, 2-1. Can Baltimore tie it up in a Game 4? Game 4, the White Sox will turn to the pitch on 2-day rest option for Wilbur Wood. Coming back on 2 days rest. He pitched good. Remember, no earned runs allowed in his loss against Jim Palmer. In this one, Baltimore, it's the first innings for both teams, really. Rather fascinating. Bobby Grich single, a Kenny Singleton, 2-run homer. 2-0. Got to mention Bob Stinson gets a single in the 1st inning. We go to the 3rd. By the way, Jim Palmer put 2 men on in the 1st. The final out was single 1-9 line out and got the line out. In the 3rd inning, Orta singles. Bob Stinson, homer double chance. He can't get the homer. It's a double. A pop out, a walk, a K, and an out. They leave the bases loaded. In the 5th inning, Bob Stinson, you heard me mention his name, he rolls a triple on his own card. He's got a single. He almost had a home run to settle for a double, has a triple. He scores on a ground ball as Baltimore plays the infield back passively. And it's a 1-1. It's a 2-1 game, excuse me. It's 2-1. Baltimore did not want to bring the infield up with a 2-run lead. I could see that, perhaps. All right, 2-1 game. Or we go to the bottom of the 6th. Lamar Johnson singles, pinch runner Coluccio, Bradford singles, Tony Muser singles. To load the bases, they go station to station. Orta pops out. So once again, you got the bases loaded, and they've been stranding all these runners. And it's Bob Stinson. Does the same homer chance. Homer I think it's 1 of 14, actually, or maybe 1 of 10. Double the rest. He gets the double, and then Bucky Dent gets thrown out the plate. So it's just a 2-run double. This thing could be... That could have been a grand slam. That could have been a 2-run homer. Bob Stinson, a single, a double, a triple, and a double in his 4 plate appearances. Doesn't matter, the White Sox have a 3-2 lead. Wilbur Woods pulled after 7 innings, giving up 5 hits, the 2-run homer in the 1st. Because once again, Baltimore's all right-handed dominant. And much the same reason we wanted Gossage in Game 2, he won him here in Game 4. Rich Gossage, no problem. 6 up and 6 down in the 8th and 9th innings, and the White Sox win a close one. Actually, it shouldn't even been this close. They had so many left on base and other runners. By the way, Bob Stinson was lifted for a pinch hitter in the 7th inning after going 4 for 4 with 2 doubles, a triple, and a single. Brian Downing, the other catcher, finished the game. 3-2 White Sox. 3-1 series lead. And today it's Game 5 in Comiskey Park. 3-1 White Sox. We did not see this coming. Having their way offensively, and the pitching's been impeccable as well. Not that great a series, to be quite honest with you folks. Kind of dull. White Sox hammering the Orioles 3-1. And here's the rotation for the rest of the series. Games 1, 2, 3, the day off. Game 4, so 5, 6, and 7 without a day off. Bart Johns for the White Sox against Cuellar. And then if the Orioles get the road win, the White Sox will have their lefties Cottonwood in 6 and 7. Baltimore will have Garland in 6. They don't get Jim Palmer anymore, though. He can't pitch on 2 days rest. It's Rorik Harrison, or which bullpen by committee in Baltimore. If they manage to rally and get it all the way to a 7-game series, that's the dire straits the Orioles are in. My goodness, didn't see this coming, folks. Today's pitcher for Baltimore, it is Mike Cuellar. I want you to take a look at the column 6 and the roll of 7. Single one, line out the rest. The league has been denting that this year. I've never reached it, never hit it. Matter of fact, Glenn Beckert rolled a 2 and a 4 against it in the previous game. Mike Cuellar, very fortunate. It's single one, line out the rest. What a great year for Cuellar. 22 wins in 1974, the 3.11 ERA. And we're right back to Game 1 starter Bart Johnson. Starter 7 in 1974, 10 and 4 with a 2.73 ERA. That is the lowest ERA of all the starting pitchers on the White Sox. Lower than Cott, lower than Wood. Matter of fact, in the bullpen, only Goose Gossage and Mike Garman have better earned run averages than Bart Johnson. So, talk about right place at the right time for your hero moment. Bart Johnson on the mound in front of Comiskey Park, absolutely out of their mind in frenzy here. Bart Johnson could send the Pale Hose to the World Series today. From Chicago, Mike Cuellar, Bart Johnson, Game 5. Let's get started. Leading off is Bobby Grich. 38's a K. Mark Belanger, 63, first X. Your first baseman is Dick Allen. He's a 3-10 today. He makes the play. They have Tony Muser against righties. And Ken Singleton. 57 is a K. Baltimore. They have not changed their lineup. They toyed with it, the idea, as this is the first time Baltimore plays in an elimination game since the season started. You'd think they'd switch things up a bit with their anemic offense, but Earl Weaver... he does his own thing, and he's like, nah, we're cruising. We got this. So, okay, Earl. All right, Earl, we'll keep that same lineup in there. Bottom of the first, it's Brian Downing. 39's a walk. Often, Glenn Beckert will hit and run, as he's not much of a hitter otherwise. Hit and run, rolls an 11. That does move the runner up. Runner at second for dangerous Dick Allen could set the tone right here. He's been setting the tone. He didn't reach in the first inning of the Game 2 loss. He's reached in the first inning the other 3 games. Here's the pitch to Dick Allen. 68 off Cuellar's a base hit into center field. Downing, 11 runner. No, they'll hold up. Runners in the corners, playing back for Bill Melton. 2-6 is a 6-4-3 double play. So the Baltimore defense gets out of that one. Top of the second, it's Lee May having a really lousy year for Baltimore. 1-5, flies to left. He and Reggie Jackson have had terrible years for their clubs. Baltimore has survived Lee May. The Oakland A's did not survive Reggie Jackson. As a matter of fact, Dick Allen has had a better year than those 2 gentlemen I just mentioned, but still not a great year. And he's more than responded in this series. I mean, you can make people forget hitting 255 pretty easily. Al Bunbury. 38 is a K. And Brooks Robinson, 311 is another strikeout. Bart Johnson, 6 up and down. It's Ken Henderson, 49 off Cuellar. Triple 1-2 is a base hit. We have not seen a stolen base in this series. Do we see one now for the first time? Sure, you're up 3-1. Henderson's going to try a steal. It's close. It is close. He's a 13-14, 15 minus 2 is 13. He's out on a 14. Missed it by 1 number. Lamar Johnson. 1-7, double 1 to 7's a base hit for Lamar. I got Buddy Bradford. 43, first X. Both first basemen are 3 E10s. Lee May and Dick Allen. Easy to remember. It's a base hit off of Lee May. 2 on, 1 out for Bob Coluccio. 210. Let's take a look at the Bob Coluccio card. Well, Bob's done pretty much nothing all year, really, of significance. He's just the defensive player, plays against lefties. He hit .202 for the White Sox in 1975. He's better known as Lamar Johnson's caddy in left field. 210 triple, 1 to 18. It's a 2-run triple. And the White Sox have a 2-0 lead and are 21 outs away from going to the World Series. Runner at third, 1 out. Infield comes up for Bucky Dent. 6-10 off Cuellar is a walk. Runners in the corners. Infield still up for Brian Downing. 56, a sac fly to left field. That's what good teams do. They pick up the sac fly when they're not hitting. 3-0, 2 outs, man at first, Glenn Beckert, 64, center X. Your center fielder, Paul Blair, is a 1-7. He had an error in the Oakland series when he made that catch. 3-0 White Sox. They didn't try that stolen base. It could have been more. They didn't hit into a double play. They could have been more. But we saw that in the last game. They somehow figure out ways to not score as many runs as they possibly can, but still have won 3 out of 4. We go to the third inning. It's Bill Sharp. 39 grounds to third. Paul Blair. 5-10 catcher's X. Brian Downing's a 2E5. Makes the play. And Johnny Edwards, left-handed bat in the lineup against Bart Johnson. 56 is a K. 9 up and down, bottom of the third. It's Dick Allen. 2-8 is a grounder to short. It's Bill Melton. 44, catcher's X. Edwards is a 3E5. Makes the play. And with 2 outs, it's Ken Henderson. 33, he grounds the third. We go to the fourth. It's Bobby Grich. 210, there goes your everything. After 9 up and 9 down, let's take a look at Bobby Grich's card. What a postseason he's having. Hey, Baltimore, you might want to open the wallet, the purse, and pay this guy and keep him in town. And don't let him go to the Angels. My goodness, Bobby Grich has been on fire. 210 is gone. In 74, 19 homers. I think he stole like 20, 25 bases. 90 walks, a 263 average. Went to the All-Star game in 76 for Baltimore. And it's a 3-1 game. Mark Belanger, Baltimore's leading hitter. That's right. He walks. A stealer, not going to steal. Ken Singleton. 310 is a fly ball to right. And it's Lee May. 411, first C. Runner goes to second for Al Bunbury, in the middle of the lineup for his batting average. 66 is a fly ball to right. A solo homer is all Baltimore could do. Bottom of the fourth, it's Lamar Johnson. 38, skies the center. Buddy Bradford, 1-7, single 1 to 16 is a base hit. Bob Coluccio, the fans on their feet for the unlikely hero of the day. 411 left X. Bill Sharp's a 2E5, former White Sox, and he makes an error. Bill Sharp, an E5 left fielder. Oh my, what is... Everything is turning up Chi Sox in this series. Second and third, 1 out. They got to bring it up for Bucky Dent. 34, ground ball to short B, so the runner's cut down at the plate. Coluccio goes to third, Dent's at first, with 2 outs, and it's Brian Downing. 410 off of Cuellar. Homer. 1-7. He doesn't have power, so it's a double to center field. Dent will run off of Blair. He got thrown out the plate yesterday, and it's going to be close today. Dent is a 12, 13, 14, -2 armor Blair. He's thrown out the plate again, but they get another run. They still keep scoring, folks. I mean, they could get 4, 5, 6, or 7, but they've got a 4-1 lead Bradford out on the fielder's choice. Coluccio scores on the double, and then Dent gets thrown out at the plate, trying to get the insurance run. Okay, fine. We go to the fifth. It's Brooks Robinson. 48 is a grounder to second. This is Becker to 3E12, makes the play. Bill Sharp, 111, pops to first. And Paul Blair, 312, flying ball to left, plus an injury. Baltimore, nothing going right. You just lost your Gold Glove center fielder. Oh, why not put Al Bunbury out there? He would be the future center fielder for the team. Get a chance to brush up on his skills before next year, I guess. He's a 4+2E9 in center. He will take over there. Oh, you know what? Dick Sharon actually is a 2 in center field. My bad. I am sorry. We have Dick Sharon on this team. Dick Sharon's a 2-0-E11 in center field. He will just take over there. So, slight loss in defense. You go from a 1 to a 2 defensively. All a moot point anyway, because you're down 3 runs, and the White Sox are thinking about adding on some more. 4-1, bottom of the fifth. Let's pause a moment for station identification.
This is the Shrimp Trawler video channel.
Este es el canal de videos de camaroneros.
Glenn Becker will be leading off in this inning. And could you imagine? Glenn Becker was put on waivers by the Chicago Cubs. And the White Sox were like, hey, you want to come down here? And it's like, well, I'll give you a chance to play in the World Series. So Glenn Becker leads off in the bottom of the fifth off Cuellar. 46, he walks. Dick Allen. 67, single one? No. I don't think it's going to happen this year. I think Cuellar is going to skate the entire year without anybody hitting single one on 6-7. Makes sense. Bill Melton. 6-11, pitcher X, Cuellar's an E5. And that's a double play. It stays 4-1. This is a close score. Doesn't seem like it. Seems like the White Sox are rolling. Baltimore's hanging in there 4-1. We go to the sixth. It's John Edwards. 5'11 pitcher X. Bart Johnson's an E0. I don't roll E0 pitchers. He's out. Bobby Grich. 49 short X. Bucky Dent. 2E16. Makes the play. Sadly, Louis Aparicio would not be able to be around and be part of this team. But frankly, his defense wasn't nearly as good as Bucky Dent's would become. And that defense has helped White Sox get to where we are, folks. Mark Belanger, 2-6, another Belanger hit. Second time he's reached. Run at first, 2 outs, Ken Singleton. 2-8, Singleton to single ... You got runners in the corners with 2 outs. And it's Lee May. Let's take a look at his card. So, Lee May has been awful this year for Baltimore. Hitting, well, we saw the you watched the championship preview stats. If you were looking at the stats, you would never even want this guy in the starting lineup. But he hit 270 in 1973 for the Astros with 28 home runs. And he's the best option in the cleanup spot for a Baltimore team that doesn't have a lot of offense anyway. Chance to make everybody forget about what's happened earlier this year. Here's the pitch to Lee May. 47 off Bart Johnson is a strikeout. That's why he is the ace of the team, the new ace of the team. By the way, it's a 74 Bart Johnson card, so he comes back next year with this exact same card. Still won't be the ace. I mean, he's never going to pitch on 3 days rest with that card, but 4-1 game continues. Bottom of the sixth. It's Ken Henderson. 58, lines the first. Lamar Johnson, 2-6, another single. He's got 2 today. We already have Coluccio, and actually Lamar could play the whole game because we have our guy in left field, Coluccio. Buddy Bradford, 5'11", first C. Runner in scoring position for Bob Coluccio. Here it is. 3-5's a K. All right, it is still a 4-1 game into the seventh. Bart's breaking inning. It'll be Al Bunbury. 3 sevens a walk. A stealer. They've been wanting to steal, but no, it's not going to happen. Brooks Robinson, does he want to change the fortunes a bit with a hit and run? I wouldn't advise it, but Baltimore's grasping at straws, and Brooks is going to hit and run. Moves the runner up. Runner at second, but you just gave up an out there, and it's Bill Sharp. 5-12's a walk. So now you got first and second anyway, but it's Dick Sharon who can't hit lefties well at all, or bunt, or hit and run, or do anything like that, but swing the bat. So Dick Sharon has been pretty awful for Baltimore also. Against a righty, here's the pitch. 57's a strikeout. And with 2 outs, they put their faith in John Edwards, the number 9 hitter. 2 on, 2 outs. Here's the pitch to John Edwards. 57, you guessed it, another strikeout for Bart Johnson today, and he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 strikeouts through 7 innings, giving up just 1 run in this championship series. Dominant performance by the White Sox. Had a really good chance of it at a sweep had they not gummed up the defensive miscues in Game 2. They already swept a team in the divisional round. They beat the Twins 5-7. They beat the A's 3-2. They're 16-4, 16-5 in this run. Rolling at the height of their power, White Sox. 4-1 lead, bottom of the 7. Stretch time here in Chicago. We have this blues mix on. Light on the south side. I'm a streaker baby, Arlene Brown. We have a lot of blues acts from the Chicago area. Syl Johnson's in this one. Slim Willis Band, Butterball Davis, Willie Williams. Bunch of stuff on the south side, and the south side is bumping right now, folks. My goodness, didn't see this coming. Bottom of the 7th, Cuellar will continue. It's Bucky Dent. 57, Sky's a center. Back up top to Brian Downing. 66, second X. It's Gritch, a 1-20. He makes the play. And with 2 outs, it's Glenn Beckert. 39, he walks, and he's reached for the second time today. And it's Dick Allen. Let's put an additional hurt on the Orioles there, Dick. 3-10's a walk. 2 on, 2 outs. Cuellar is a starter 8, so he'll deal with Melton. Here we go. Cuellar Melton. Not a lot you can do if you're the Orioles at this point of the game. 111 is a strikeout. Melton strikes out to end the inning. Can they get their defense any better in this one? The answer is yeah, you can put Tony Muser at first base as a 2. Sure, let's do it. You're in the luxury boxes now, White Sox. You can do like whatever you really feel like doing. Lamar Johnson will exit. Tony Muser will go into that spot. Dick Allen will be DH the rest of the way. 4-1 game into the 8th. Bart Johnson going back out for the 8th. If you're wondering about this lineup, Baltimore only has, Singleton bats 3rd, Bunbury bats 5th, Bill Sharp 7th, John Edwards 9th. That's some of the weakest left-handed hitting in the league, and that's why the White Sox were adamant about getting Bart Johnson in games 1 and 5. Didn't think it'd be an elimination game 5, but that's where we're at. And so it's Bobby Gritch leading off in the top of the 8th. 68, lines are short. Mark Belanger, the same roll, another liner to short. And Ken Singleton, 47's a base hit. And Lee May, 38, oh my God, he got a hit. It's a base hit to left field, and now the Orioles have the tie run up. It's Al Bunbury. Let's take a look at Al. Al Bunbury is your tie run. In 1973, he's the Rookie of the Year, hitting .337 with 11 triples as well. And he should be the leadoff hitter, but Baltimore has nothing in the middle of the lineup to lean on offensively. Boog Powell's gone. Like Don Baylor, Merv Retman, they're all gone. And so they move Bunbury into the 5 spot because they need hits, and he hits. Gritch and Belanger, Singleton, they all walk at the top. So here's a moment for Bunbury, who's got power. And yeah, this is the first moment where you might consider pulling Bart Johnson. Because if Bunbury reaches, he's at the point of weakness. Oh, let's just do it. Let's pull him. After 7 2/3, they're going to pull Bart Johnson. They're not going to let Baltimore get this layup with an advantage in this. They're going to put the screws. 4 outs to get to go to the World Series. They're going to go to Terry Forster here. This is why he's on the roster, for Pete's sakes, for the lefties. Terry Forster comes in the 8th inning in 74. He was 7-8 with a 3.63 ERA and 134 innings. And in a corresponding move, if you're Baltimore, you pretty much have to take your best hitter out of the lineup because he doesn't hit lefties that well. And you got a shot of a... Oh, you have Earl Williams. Earl Williams or Doug DeCinces. That's your choice. I think it's Earl Williams. Yeah, Earl Williams will be the pinch hitter for Al Bunbury. Let's take a look at Earl Williams. He's had a nice year. See the bunting? Now you see the card, right? Yeah, would you expect an A bunter there in the middle of all that bad handling otherwise? But yeah, Earl Williams is an A bunter. 1974, 14 homers, a 254 average. He and Earl Weaver never got along very well in the Baltimore stay. But it could all change. It could all change right here. 2 on, 2 outs. Here's the pitch to Earl Williams. 56, and Forster gets him to fly to left field to end the threat. And Cuellar, does he get? Yeah, he'll just keep going. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Ken Henderson, 46 is a walk. Oh, maybe you should have hooked this guy. Tony Muser, a lefty. I think he's going to hit and run in this situation. Sure, it'll probably work. It does not. That is, you have to attempt to steal. But he steals and is safe on a 7. So Henderson ends up stealing a base as Muser swings through the pitch. Muser's not a good bunter. But he's left-handed. So if he hits a ground ball to second base, that'll move the runner up. So Muser will hit away. 66 off Cuellar is short X. This is Belanger, a 1E14. This will not move the runner up. It does not do that. So he's stuck at second. This is a big insurance run, potentially. Bradford crushes righties, so Cuellar will pitch to him. Here's the pitch to Buddy Bradford. 1-5! 1-5, Buddy Bradford. Let's take a look at the card. So, yeah, the batting average is 238 because of this bizarre platoon situation. 41% versus lefties where he's lousy. Magnificent versus righties where we like him. And normally he probably wouldn't be an everyday player other than he's got fantastic defense. So they bat him 7th, which is a reasonable spot for a guy who doesn't hit left-handed pitching very well, except on this particular role. 1-5. Homer 1-17. It is gone. A Buddy Bradford 2-run blast, and the White Sox are cruising 6-1. I think you got to take Cuellar out now. After 7 1/3, pitching coach Ray Miller went out and made the change. Earl Weaver's in the club. Earl Weaver got ejected on balls and strikes in this one. And Dyer Miller will come on in the 8th inning. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Maybe it was sweeping Oakland. Baltimore swept Oakland and they got cocky, figuring that the White Sox aren't much. But boy, they misjudged that significantly. Dyer Miller, good pitcher for Baltimore in 75. A 6-3 record, a 2.74 ERA. He will face Bob Coluccio here with 1 out. 57 is a K. And Bucky Dent. 2 7's a single. Back up top to Brian Downing. 6-10, third X. Brooks is a 1/19, and that is an error on Brooks Robinson. Is that really a thing? I hate to see those. That's an error on Brooks Robinson. Oh my goodness. Brooks, he just kicked the ground ball. Now you know Baltimore's not coming back in this one. Glenn Beckert, 5'11", second X. Bobby Grich, a 1/20, makes the play. Innings over. It's ugly. It's 6-1. We go to the 9th. Yeah, it's not a save situation, but you just have to have Gossage come in to the entrance music. His own, whatever it is. I don't know what it is. But yeah, Gossage is coming in the 9th inning to close this thing out. The brilliant 75, 9-8, .184 ERA in 142 innings. Rich Gossage, he will face, for Baltimore, they do have 2 lefties coming up, which is good, but a little too late at this point. Brooks Robinson leading off. 58's a strikeout. Now you got the lefty Bill Sharp. 5-10's a walk. Now you got Dick Sharon. Let me see if the Sensei should pinch hit for him based on... Yeah, I guess the Sensei will pinch hit for Sharon because he reaches base a little bit more. Sharon is awful. Doug Sensei will be the pinch hitter. Here's the pitch. 66 is a strikeout anyway. And with 2 outs, it comes down to John Edwards. John Edwards. Who? Let's take a look at John Edwards. So, when this is how this happened, folks. A couple years ago now, when Joe Morgan was leaving Houston, going to the Big Red Machine, okay, the Astros really didn't want Lee May. So a bunch of teams got involved, moving their first baseman around. So Lee May went from Cincinnati to Houston for a few seconds. And then he went to Baltimore, and Baltimore sent Boog Powell to Cleveland, and Cleveland sent Chris Chambliss to the Yankees. Is how that all worked. Well, John Edwards was a toss-in in that trade. So Baltimore got Lee May and John Edwards from Houston. This was to get Lee May into Baltimore with a better card and a little bit younger than when he arrives in 1975. But here it is. For a trip to the World Series, the Chicago White Sox, the pitch to Johnny Edwards. 3-5 is a grounder to first, and that is it. The Chicago White Sox are going to the World Series to face either the Atlanta Braves or the LA Dodgers in what was not much of a contest, folks. It really wasn't. They dominated. One of the best dominating performances of the White Sox have done all year. I mean, they beat the Twins 5-2, but the games were close. They beat the Ohio players 4-0, but a couple of those games were close. And Baltimore had no shot in this thing. Gossage gives up a walk and 2 Ks in the 9th. Forster got the big out in the 8th, Earl Williams. Bart Johnson wins 2 of the 5 games played. Let's call him the series MVP. What do you say? It should be Dick Allen, though. Dick Allen should be the series MVP, I guess. Or Bob Stinson. Well, Bob Stinson had 1 really good game. But that's the thing about the White Sox. It's a team effort, you know? I mean, Bob Caluso got the big hit. Buddy Bradford had a home run. Lamar Johnson's been getting hits. You know, they're all doing something here, and that's what we talked about with this White Sox team. This is deep depth. They have a lot of depth on this team. They just need to utilize it appropriately, and they can play with anybody. And then the other thing is, there ain't no Big Red Machine anymore in the National League. So the White Sox are probably the favorite to win the whole enchilada right now. 1-0-0-9, and Baltimore, Dyer Miller got the last 2 outs with a strikeout in there. It was a hit and a strikeout. Cuellar, well, didn't have it today. It was really that bad inning, second inning, give up 3 runs. And then the home run here didn't help, but a moot point, as we like to say. Cuellar had 6 walks and 2 strikeouts. Wow. All the Baltimore pitching was dreadful. Terrible pitching. The only well-pitched game was Cuellar's first start. Palmer gave up 15 hits and 12 hits in his 2 starts. And Garland Link got through 4 innings. 1-0-0-9, 0-1-0-8, 6-10-1-5. 410, 63, 63, 410. Well, we have our first outlier in a World Series in quite some time. We do not have them on the register for a World Series appearance, the White Sox. Might want to take a dive in this thing and find out. I think the White Sox and Dodgers played in a World Series once. I thought they did. Long time ago, maybe. White Sox are 31-19. They're up to 272. They got a 332 earned run average. They've scored 225 runs, given up just 177. Bart Johnson is now 5-1. He's given up 27 runs in 87 innings. That's a 2.79 ERA for a guy who has a 2.73 ERA. Dick Allen's up to 11 homers and 42 RBIs to pace his squad, but he's 55 for 204. He's hitting 270, so that's nice. He brought his average up 15 points. And, yeah, 31-19. They pick up 3 games in the standings on the Orioles. White Sox have the best record in the whole sport. Baltimore finishes 29-18, a 2.42 average, a 3.85 team ERA. Some teams would like that. Not Baltimore. No, sir. And Palmer finishes 9-5 with 2 losses in the LCS. Cuellar lost a game. Garland was awful. We talked about how bad Lee May was, right? He finishes 40 for 193. Yeah, 207 for your cleanup hitter with 3 home runs. So, yeah, that's, yeah. It is a weird thing about Baltimore, constantly hitting in the 230s and 240s. When you look at the cards, everybody's averages is in the 260, 70s, 80s, 300, whatever. They just have this Strat-O-Matic thing where they love to not hit to the delight Earl Weaver. Yet for the most of the time, they get wins. But check this out, folks. This is the magic of Earl Weaver. They're 29-18, right? The Orioles have scored 190 runs and given up 186. That's just +4. That's a lot like the Chicago Cubs of a year ago. The Cubs were a wild card team in the National League a year ago with a negative run differential. So that's a more extreme example. But Baltimore practically should not be the top seed of the American League in a league that didn't really have a dominant team. Well, until now, until the Chicago White Sox figured it all out. Figured out how to leave the lineup alone and just go out and play baseball and use your bench, use your defense, use your bullpen, and let your opponent stink up the joint. And we've seen a lot of teams in the American League stink up the joint. And that's what the White Sox are going to need in the World Series. They're going to need Atlanta to stink up the joint and the Dodgers to stink up the joint. So that's it today, folks. Break up the Chicago White Sox. Going to the World Series. Convincing 4-1 American League Championship. Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.